Now, let's discuss notices of violation. A notice of violation, or NOV, is a compulsory violation notice that is issued when a driver of a motor vehicle is unable to produce satisfactory proof of liability insurance at the request of law enforcement at one of the following times: an accident, traffic offense, or police stop, or administrative violation checkpoint, also known as an insurance checkpoint. The vehicle may be impounded and/or the license plate removed. If a driver is issued a ticket for driving without proof of liability insurance or security, the issuing agency of the ticket submits the ticket to an Office of Motor Vehicles, OMV, field office location identified on the ticket. The field office sets the flag on the vehicle and vehicle owner's record. OMV personnel verifies that the information on the ticket matches the vehicle record and vehicle owner record. The OMV field office holds the license plate for 3 business days. If the vehicle owner does not produce compliance documentation within the 3 business days, the plate will be canceled and destroyed. The following situation describes what happens when you are stopped by the police and do not have proof of insurance in the vehicle. Erica allowed her son, Jason, to take her vehicle to the store to get a small list of groceries for them. On his way to the store, Jason came up on an insurance checkpoint station. On his way through the checkpoint, the police officer asked Jason for his license, registration, and proof of insurance. Jason tells the officer that the vehicle is his mother's and he needed to reach into the glove box and get the registration and insurance. The officer acknowledges his request and Jason opens the glove box and pulls out the insurance and registration. Upon looking over the documents, the officer notices that the insurance cards are expired as of 2 weeks ago. He asks Jason if there is another set of cards in the glove box. Since the vehicle belonged to his mother, Jason stated he did not know where they would be. He asked to call his mother and find out where the new cards were. The officer has Jason pull over to the side of the road and make the phone call. Erica answers and Jason explains the situation to her. Erica remembered that she had recently gotten some new cards in the mail, but forgot to put them in the vehicle. Jason explains this to the officer, who is now faced with a decision. He has the option to impound the vehicle, remove the plate, and issue a notice of violation. He could just remove the plate and issue a notice of violation. Or he could let Jason go with a warning to make sure he gets the insurance cards put in the vehicle. Had this been a normal traffic stop, the officer would have possibly let Jason go with a warning. However, this was an administrative violation checkpoint or insurance checkpoint, so the officer was limited on what he could do. The officer chose to issue a notice of violation and pull the license plate, as it was the most lenient option he had. He gives the green ticket to Jason and tells him that since the vehicle is in his mother's name that she could go to her local OMV in the morning to clear up the violation. The officer puts a green-colored sticker on the back window of the vehicle and lets Jason drive off. Had the officer chose to, he could have impounded the vehicle along with pulling the plate and issuing a notice of violation. Fortunately for Erica and Jason, the officer only issued the NOV and let him leave with the vehicle. Jason returned home after going by the grocery store. Jason hands the green ticket he received from the officer and tells his mother that she would need to go to her local OMV within 3 days in order to show proof of insurance and get her license plate back. The next morning, Erica drives over to her local Office of Motor Vehicles. She pulls a number and waits her turn. While waiting, she overhears 2 women discussing their situation. Their situation was similar to hers, except for the fact they did not have insurance and their vehicle was impounded. When Erica's number was called, she walked up to the counter and spoke with the employee. Erica explained about her son driving her vehicle, coming upon an insurance checkpoint, not having her current insurance card in the vehicle, having her plate taken, and receiving the green ticket. She explained that per the officer, she needed to show proof of insurance to get her license plate back. The employee pulls up the record and sees that the notice of violation has been added to Erica's record. The employee gets the current insurance from Erica and makes a copy. The employee sees the insurance was in effect at the time of the stop. The employee clears the record and returns Erica's plate. The employee told Erica to be sure and put the current insurance card in the vehicle. Erica was grateful that her situation was like the two other women she overheard talking about in the lobby. The employee tells Erica that most of the time customers do not realize how important it is to keep their insurance current and in the vehicle at all times. Erica thanked the employee for helping her and left. Robin recently got a new job. Robin has been struggling lately due to losing her old job and some of her bills fell behind. One of those bills unfortunately was her car insurance. Robin received notice from OMV that she had a lapse of insurance. However, she was unable to resolve it at the time due to the loss of income. Robin was on her way to work when she failed to yield to oncoming traffic and got into a minor crash. Luckily, no one was injured in the crash, just mainly cosmetic damage to both vehicles. The officer that worked the crash asked Robin for her current insurance. Robin knew her current policy was expired, so she told the officer that she did not have current insurance as she just started a new job and was waiting to get her first paycheck. The officer lets Robin know that it is illegal to drive a vehicle on a public roadway without proof of insurance. The officer writes Robin a ticket for being at fault in the crash. In addition, the officer issues Robin a notice of violation ticket. The officer has the license plate pulled and the vehicle impounded. Robin calls her friend to come pick her up. The officer tells Robin that she can go to her local OMV and show the office proof of insurance. She can, then, get her plate back and get an authorization to release, which she will need to get her vehicle out of impound. Robin knew she didn't have the money for all of this, but her friend offered to help and Robin agreed to pay her back. The next day Robin goes and gets insurance on the vehicle. She then brings the NOV ticket and proof of insurance to her local OMV. She gives the employee her scenario and the employee tells her she has to clear the notice of violation and the insurance flag. Robin enters into an installment agreement and clears her record. The employee issues the authorization to release and gives her license plate back, since it was within 3 days of the NOV, so that Robin can get her vehicle out of impound. Before Robin leaves, the employee lets Robin know that since this was her first notice of violation on this vehicle, that the fine would be $110 along with her insurance fine of $275. The employee lets Robin know that if she receives another NOV on this vehicle that the fine would go up to $260 and any subsequent ones $510. Robin takes her proof of insurance, driver's license, license plate, and authorization to release and goes to the impound yard to pay their fees and get her vehicle released. Let's look at one more example, specifically showing what happens when you visit the local field office without having insurance. Brad always considered himself a bad boy and did not believe in following the rules. He owned a 1998 Chevrolet Camaro and always tried to race other drivers. One evening, he was out driving around and came upon a group of guys that were showing off in a parking lot by doing donuts and revving their engines. Brad decided he wanted to join in. He pulled off into the parking lot and asked if any of them wanted to race. One of the guys said that he would love to race him. They lined up and prepared to race. One of the other guys gave the signal and both vehicles took off. Little did they know that at the same time they were racing, a state trooper just turned off the highway and saw what was happening. The trooper called for backup and went into pursuit of the two vehicles. Another trooper joined in and both vehicles were pulled over. Both were ticketed for drag racing, however Brad was also given a notice of violation ticket because he did not have insurance. Brad's vehicle was impounded and he had to get an Uber to bring him home. The trooper told Brad his plate would be brought to his local OMV and he could pick it up the next day as long as he had proof of insurance. Brad went to the OMV the next day, however he did not go get insurance before going. Brad was called up to the counter and the employee explained to Brad he had multiple insurance violations and that this was his second NOV on this vehicle. The employee told Brad he needed current insurance and would owe $260 for the NOV and $850 for the 3 insurance violations. Brad stormed off from the desk and left the office. Brad returned a week later and said he needed to get his vehicle out of impound and he wanted to get into an installment plan to pay his fines. The employee told Brad he could pay the fines, as the plate is now canceled, but could only get a release for tow only as he did not have insurance. The vehicle was not allowed to be driven on the roadway without insurance. Brad agreed to the tow-only release. The employee cleared up Brad's record and entered him into an installment plan. Brad took his tow-only release and went to the impound yard. Brad paid the fees that he owned the impound yard and had his vehicle towed to his home. Brad remembered that the OMV employee told him that if he were to get another NOV in this vehicle, that he would owe a fine of $510. Brad decided that the bad boy image was not working for him. He then got insurance on the vehicle and got a new license plate issued. Brad still had the urge to street race, but when he thought about all the fines he had to pay and was still paying, he decided that racing should be saved for designated courses. So what happens if you visit the local field office after the 3 days? Let's take a look. Daniel is on his way to pick up his kids after school. He fails to stop at a red light as he was running late. Daniel gets pulled over by a sheriff's deputy. The deputy asks Daniel why he didn't stop at the traffic signal. Daniel tells the deputy that he was running late and thought he could make it before it turned red. The deputy asks to see the registration and insurance on the vehicle. Daniel reaches into his glove box and grabs his registration. He tells the officer that he has his insurance on his cell phone. The officer allows him to pull it up on the phone. Unfortunately for Daniel, he did not have service in this particular stretch of highway. The deputy tells Daniel that unless he can provide proof of insurance, he would have to cite him for a notice of violation. Daniel, who is running even later now, tells the officer to go ahead and cite him and he would take care of it later. The officer tickets Daniel for failing to stop at the traffic signal and the notice of violation for not having insurance available. The deputy also takes Daniel's license plate and puts a green sticker on his back window. The deputy tells Daniel he could bring proof of insurance to his local OMV to get his plate back. He tells him he needs to do it within 3 business days. Daniel signs for the tickets and drives off to get his kids. A week goes by and Daniel decided he needed to go get his plate back from the OMV. He goes to his local office where the employee there tells him that he will owe a $10 reinstatement fee for not coming in within the 3 business days and he would have to purchase a replacement plate. Daniel is furious that he has to purchase another license plate when he had insurance all along. The employee tells Daniel that had he came in within the 3 days, that he would have received his plate back and not have to pay the $10 fee. Daniel pays the reinstatement fee and the plate fee. The employee lets Daniel know that he may want to put a paper copy of his insurance in his vehicle in the event he runs into the situation again where he has no service and is unable to pull up the insurance cards.